In this lesson, we'll begin refining the line work for our first character. Okay, so in the previous lesson, we finished sketching our first character based on the first shape. So I tell you what, in this lesson, let's go ahead and just start refining some of this line work. Now, I work pretty sketchy. Now, you may not work quite this sketchy, but it really just it depends on your personal technique. So me personally, I like to go ahead and after I've sketched a character out, I'd like to go in and apply line work to the character. Now, depending on the style you're using, it's going to affect the type of line work you apply. So I'm just going to stick with a very basic outline for our character, just solidifying the shapes we already composed to make this character. So I'm going to just come in here now with a hard round brush, and I'm going to begin pulling out some of these lines. Now, I'm just going to pull these in just like so. Now, I find personally that the easiest way to make exactly the line I'm looking for is to do it quickly and move your arm from the elbow and not from the wrist, so that you get one nice clean motion. Now I'm going to go ahead and rotate my canvas just a little bit here, and I'm doing that in Photoshop CS5, and you may have to turn on your OpenGL drawing features in order to enable that on your machine. So you can find those under the Photoshop settings, just doing a Control K or Command K if you're on a Mac. Now you're going to see me draw each of these lines several times until I get a line that I'm really happy with. So as you can see here, it doesn't always happen the very first time I draw it. So, that's okay. That just depends on you and your own drawing techniques. So I'm just going to come in here again and start hitting some of these bangs here, creating some of this line work in and around her bangs. Now, as far as her hair goes, the more lines you have, obviously the messier it's going to get. So I'm going to try and stay pretty simple here with the hair, except for this area around her bangs. Now we can always come in and at a later point add in some thicker lines to sort of imply value within some of these areas where there's hair. Maybe underneath in this area right here where there may be a cast shadow underneath the bangs. Well, maybe we come in and thicken that line work up just a little bit. So again, I'm not really going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to stick with really just a basic outline of our character, really trying to clean up the shapes that we've already developed here. So just continuing on around the hairline here. Now I'm going to, just like we did with the rough pencils, I'm just going to kind of bounce my way around here, just kind of hitting certain areas that stand out to me whenever I approach them. So I'm really not working with any kind of technique here. It's just, whatever area I feel comfortable with. If you see me not happy with a line in one area, I may skip that area and move on to another area for just a moment. But, really, we're just trying to flush this character out, really kind of refine what we've used a very loose stroke to create in the previous lessons. So I'm just going to pick up on her hair right here and just kind of make some additional lines to create the part of the hair here where it reaches up towards the ponytail. Now I'm going to just kind of work my way around her head here. Now I like to rotate my canvas quite a bit just to get a good drawing angle from my own arm. You may not need to do that. It depends on how comfortable your hand is at drawing a line. So I'm just going to kind of come in here just like so. And let's go ahead and pull in a nice line for the neck. Now notice here that most of the lines that I've used to draw this character are actually curved lines, and I think that goes. And as a general rule, when you're drawing females, don't use straight lines. If you ever want to make a straight line when you're drawing a female, just draw a slightly less curved line. So really, a curved line when you're drawing a female adds to the femininity of the character and really softens the shapes you're using up quite a bit. So I'm just going to kind of continue to pull in these curved lines here. Alright, let's go ahead and rotate around here and work on her face just a little bit. I'm going to come in here and bring a line in right there and kind of stop that line at her chin. And I'm going to rotate around. We're going to do this other side. Now as I'm drawing these lines, I may actually clean some of this up with my eraser tool. So at this point, I may erase a little bit more if the line I've drawn is actually one I'm happy with and I want to keep that, with the exception of maybe just a little overhang or something. I may come in and clean that up. So up until now, we've really been kind of working on her hair, so I tell you what, go ahead and continue doing that here. I'm going to come in and hit some of these lines for these wispy hairs that are just in front of her ear right here. There we go. Let's go ahead and hit one more right about there. Alright, so we're at her ear. Let's go ahead and tackle that ear. Okay, so I've got a few lines here now. Naturally, this ear is not a very realistic ear. It's very simplified and stylized, so it fits with this character. I think if we had a photorealistic ear on this character, it would look very much out of place. So I've kind of stuck with this theme of simplifying the features on this character. We're just going to kind of go after her eyes here. Now, the eyes are really important here. Notice her eyes are very large and very expressive, so I think that's one attribute of drawing a female that is probably one of the most important, is large expressive eyes. And don't get stuck in the rut of always drawing the same shape of eye. You can draw several different kinds of shapes for eyes and still use them for females. And just remember, use curved lines. Maybe use some thick and thin lines to imply maybe some eyeliner or something like that. We'll just kind of bring in a little bit thicker line on the back portion of this eye up here at the top. Let's go ahead and end that with an eyelash here. That looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and move over here to the other eye, and I'm going to kind of come in at this eye and rework this just a little bit. I feel like that we've pinched these two curves together a little bit low on this side, so I'm going to actually modify that as I'm drawing it here and deviate from my sketch just a little bit. So I'm going to come up here, bring in this other curved line, and I'm going to zoom out on that and see how it looks. Don't be afraid to zoom out and look at it smaller, because a lot of times when you're working on a drawing on the computer, it's real easy to get zoomed in nice and close, and then you actually get fixated on a certain area and don't end up looking at the entire drawing as a whole. And I think that's really important to kind of tell if there's mistakes when it comes to proportions and how certain features relate to other features in the drawing. So make sure and zoom out. Remember to do that. Let's go and fill in this pupil right here. Alright, so looking really good for right now. I think may come and clean that up just a little bit here between lessons, but let's go ahead and add in an eyelash here. Let's make sure these are going the same direction, and let's go ahead and just bring in a really simple eyelash. Just to sort of match the other one here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and work my way down her face. We've been focusing on facial features. Let's go ahead and draw in her nose right here. Just a hint of a little nostril right there. And I'm going to come in and handle her lips next. Now, I'm not going to worry about, I think, drawing the line that separates the two lips. I'm going to maybe think about doing that with color. And we'll hit that one in one nice broad stroke. And let's go ahead and draw that line right there. And maybe there's just a crease of a cheek right here. Nothing big, nothing thick, just a hint. And I'm going to bounce up here to the top. We've kind of skipped over the ponytail. I'm going to just kind of refine the ponytail out a little bit with some nice, thick, confident lines here. And we'll just come in and sort of hit those two lines right there, defining the edges of this cuff that is holding all her hair together. And maybe there's a little detail in this cuff we can actually pull out. So let's go ahead and just maybe do a thinner line right here. Maybe there's a crease. This sort of highlights this edge of the cuff right about here. Oh, we got zoomed in a little bit too far there. Let me zoom out. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and let's undo that and draw that line one more time here. Alright, so maybe there's also a line right here. And we've got some jewels here that we kind of roughly penciled up in the previous lesson. I'm just going to kind of come in and quickly draw in these shapes. All right, that one looks pretty good. I may come in and actually erase away a little bit of this thick line right here. Clean that up just a little. And let's go ahead and draw in this next jewel here. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and finish drawing this line in the hair. So I'm just going to kind of pick up where we've left off here, fill in some of these areas where we don't have line work applied yet. So let's just come in and pull in some lines right there. Pull in this under edge lip right here. And let's go ahead and begin working our way down this right side of her hair right here. So I'm just going to come in and do this in one nice broad stroke right here. So let's just come in and try and draw that as quickly and smoothly as possible there. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So I may come in at this point. Let's go ahead and hit this other side of her hair as well. Something like that. So we've pretty much got her finished up for the most part, except for this area right in here. Now, let's go ahead and handle this area. And this is a cuff similar to the one in her hair, so I'm going to do that, draw it in a very similar fashion here. And we've got sort of an earring kind of covering that up. That's okay. We'll go ahead and just leave room for that. Go ahead and add some of the same details that we had in the original cuff here. There's a crease right there, and then we've got these jewels here. So come in and just quickly draw those in. You know, this might be something that would be better done in color too. So, you know, if you feel like you want to leave certain areas of the line work out, don't hesitate to do that. If you feel like maybe, you know, I want to soften that area up a little bit and not apply line work to those diamonds or those jewels or whatever they are, then, you know, leave that off. Or, you know, when you're applying your color to your character, you can always come in and actually color the line work as well. So don't be afraid to do that either. So we're just going to finish drawing this jewel really quickly here. Alright, so let's move on to the earring. We've almost got her finished. I'm going to draw an ellipse here for the earring, and, you know, maybe it's got sort of a jewel in it. Kind of a round jewel to contrast the harsh lines in the jewels on her cuff and in her hair. So let's come in and maybe give it a little bit of depth here, adding another line. And, you know, we really didn't attach it to her earlobe in any way, so maybe we come in with a nice triangular shape, kind of contrasting that circular shape down below. And let's come in and maybe do sort of a chain link attachment here. Alright, so that looks really good. We'll just erase away that line. And I tell you what, let's come up here. One other thing that I've noticed, let's go ahead and pull in some lines for this hair, maybe where it's scrunched up here inside this cuff. So we'll just kind of quickly draw in some of these lines. Just like so. And let's go ahead and hide our pencils here and take a look at our line work. Make sure we didn't miss anything. Alright, so I think that's looking really good. We've developed a nice character here, and we've got a nice launching point to go into. If we wanted to flush this character out a little bit more, maybe do a full body pose with him, or even add some color to this line work. So in the next lesson, we're going to pick up where we're leaving off here, and we're going to move on and begin doing a second character with our second shape.